He arrived in America at age 13 with his family, so poor they borrowed money for the voyage. He worked 12-hour days in a factory making $1.20 per week. 50 years later, he sold his steel company for $480 million, equivalent to $310 billion today. This is how Andrew Carnegie became the second richest person in American history and gave it all away. Andrew Carnegie didn't inherit wealth or connections. He was a Scottish immigrant who couldn't afford shoes. But Carnegie had something more valuable, an obsession with self-improvement, the ability to recognize technological shifts before anyone else, and the courage to bet everything on steel when everyone thought he was crazy. His methods transformed American industry, and his philosophy of giving away fortunes shaped modern philanthropy. Andrew Carnegie was born on November 25, 1835, in Dunfermline, Scotland. His father, William, was a handloom weaver who made damask linen. His mother, Margaret, worked binding shoes to supplement the family's meager income. They lived in a small cottage, struggling to survive. The 1840s brought disaster to the Carnegie family. Industrial weaving machines destroyed the handloom trade. William Carnegie couldn't compete with mechanized production. Work disappeared. The family faced starvation. Margaret borrowed £20 from her friend to pay for passage to America, hoping for better opportunities. In 1848, the Carnegie family arrived in Allegheny, Pennsylvania, now part of Pittsburgh, with almost nothing. Andrew was 13 years old. His father found occasional work but struggled. His mother took in laundry and mended shoes. The family lived in a cramped two-room dwelling. Young Andrew needed to work immediately. Carnegie's first job was in a textile factory as a bobbin boy, changing spools of thread on weaving machines. He worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week for $1.20 per week, about $44 in today's money. The work was monotonous and exhausting. But Carnegie wasn't discouraged. He later wrote that he was one of the happy unfortunates because poverty drove him to improve himself. At 14, Carnegie got a better job as a messenger boy for the O'Reilly Telegraph Company in Pittsburgh, earning $2.50 per week. This job changed everything. Carnegie taught himself to operate the telegraph machine by arriving early and staying late to practice. Within a year, he was one of only 3 people in the United States who could decode telegraphic messages by sound, rather than reading the printed tape. Carnegie's telegraph skills caught the attention of Thomas Scott, superintendent of the Pennsylvania Railroad's Western Division. In 1853, Scott hired 17-year-old Carnegie as his personal telegrapher and assistant for $4 per week, about $140 today. This mentorship became the foundation of Carnegie's fortune. Thomas Scott was more than Carnegie's boss. He became his mentor, teaching Carnegie how business, finance, and investing actually worked. Scott showed Carnegie that real wealth came from investing capital, not just earning wages. This lesson transformed Carnegie's thinking forever. Scott gave Carnegie his first investment opportunity in 1856. He offered Carnegie a chance to buy 10 shares in Adams Express Company for $500. Carnegie didn't have $500. His entire savings was less than $100. Scott arranged for Carnegie to borrow the money with a mortgage on his mother's house. Carnegie was terrified by the debt. His mother was terrified, but Carnegie trusted Scott's judgment. Within months, Carnegie received his first dividend check, $10. He later wrote, "I shall remember that check as long as I live. It gave me the first penny I had ever received from capital, something that I had not worked for with the sweat of my brow." Here was the goose that laid the golden eggs. That experience taught Carnegie the power of capital investment. Working for wages had limits. You could only work so many hours, but invested capital earned money while you slept. This realization became Carnegie's philosophy: earn wages, save aggressively, invest wisely, and reinvest dividends to compound wealth. During the Civil War, Scott was appointed Assistant Secretary of War in charge of military transportation. He brought Carnegie to Washington to help organize the Union's railroad and telegraph systems. Carnegie excelled, learning how large-scale logistics and government contracts worked. This experience would prove invaluable. Carnegie also made shrewd investments during this period. He invested in oil wells in Pennsylvania's newly discovered oil regions, earning substantial returns. He invested in Woodruff Sleeping Car Company, which manufactured luxury sleeper cars for railroads. He invested in iron bridge companies. By 1863, Carnegie's investment income exceeded $45,000 annually, about $1 million today. far more than his Pennsylvania Railroad salary. In 1865, at age 29, Carnegie resigned from the Pennsylvania Railroad to focus full-time on his investments and business ventures. He had a clear strategy: focus on industries supporting railroad expansion, particularly iron and bridge construction. Carnegie founded Keystone Bridge Company in 1865 with several partners. The company built iron bridges to replace wooden railroad bridges across America. Carnegie's Pennsylvania Railroad connections gave Keystone access to major contracts. The business was immediately profitable, earning Carnegie substantial income. But Carnegie saw a bigger opportunity: steel. In the 1860s, steel was rare and expensive, produced in small batches using inefficient methods. Most bridges, railroad tracks, and buildings used iron. Steel was superior, stronger, more durable, and more versatile, but cost prohibitive. In 1872, Carnegie visited England and toured steel mills using the new Bessemer process. This revolutionary technique blasted air through molten iron, burning off impurities and producing steel in large quantities at a fraction of traditional costs. Carnegie immediately grasped the implications. Whoever mastered mass steel production first would dominate American industry. Carnegie made a bold decision. He would sell his other investments and bet everything on steel. Friends and partners thought he was insane. The American steel industry barely existed. The risk was enormous. But Carnegie had unwavering confidence. He'd studied the numbers. Railroad expansion required steel rails. Cities needed steel for buildings. Bridges needed steel construction. Demand would explode. In 1873, Carnegie founded Carnegie Steel Company in Braddock, Pennsylvania, just outside Pittsburgh. He invested $700,000, nearly his entire fortune, in building the Edgar Thomson Steel Works, named after the president of the Pennsylvania Railroad, to secure future contracts. Carnegie's competitive advantage wasn't just the Bessemer process. It was his obsession with cost accounting and efficiency. While competitors guessed at production costs, Carnegie knew his costs down to the fraction of a cent per pound of steel. Carnegie hired chemists and metallurgists to study every aspect of steel production. He tracked raw material costs, labor costs, fuel consumption, and equipment maintenance. He calculated the cost per ton of steel produced at different temperatures, different times of day, and with different raw material combinations. This data-driven approach was revolutionary in the 1870s. Carnegie's motto was, "Watch the costs, and the profits will take care of themselves." He cut costs relentlessly. When he discovered that one blast furnace produced steel 2% more efficiently than another, he investigated why and fixed the less efficient one. When competitors paid $2 per ton for transportation, Carnegie negotiated $1.50 by guaranteeing volume. Carnegie also pioneered vertical integration in the steel industry. Instead of buying iron ore from suppliers, Carnegie bought iron ore mines in Minnesota and Michigan. Instead of paying railroads to transport ore, he bought steamships on the Great Lakes and railroad lines. Instead of buying coal and coke, he purchased coal mines and coke ovens. By controlling every step from raw materials to finished steel, Carnegie eliminated middlemen and controlled costs completely. His timing was perfect. The 1870s and 1880s saw explosive American industrial growth. Railroads expanded from 50,000 miles of track to over 160,000 miles. Cities grew rapidly, requiring steel construction. The Brooklyn Bridge, completed in 1883, used Carnegie Steel. Skyscrapers in Chicago and New York used Carnegie Steel. The U.S. Navy's new steel warships used Carnegie Steel. Carnegie Steel became the most efficient, lowest-cost steel producer in the world. When competitors sold steel for $56 per ton, Carnegie sold it for $40 and still made higher profit margins. When economic depressions hit in 1873 and 1893, Carnegie bought struggling competitors for pennies on the dollar, expanding his empire while others collapsed. By 1890, Carnegie Steel was producing 25% of all American steel. The company employed over 20,000 workers. Its annual revenue exceeded $40 million, about $1.3 billion today. Carnegie's personal wealth exceeded $30 million and growing rapidly. Carnegie was a ruthless competitor. He believed business was war, and only the most efficient survived. His treatment of competitors and even partners revealed his philosophy. Sentiment had no place in business decisions. In 1892, Carnegie faced a major crisis at his Homestead Steel Works. the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers Union, demanded higher wages and better conditions. Carnegie's partner Henry Clay Frick, managing operations while Carnegie vacationed in Scotland, refused negotiations. The resulting Homestead strike became one of American labor history's most violent episodes. Frick hired 300 Pinkerton guards to protect strikebreakers. Armed confrontation erupted on July 6, 1892. Gunfire killed 7 workers and 3 Pinkertons. The Pennsylvania State Militia intervened, broke the strike, and arrested union leaders. The Homestead plant reopened with non-union workers at lower wages. Carnegie was in Scotland during the violence but supported Frick's actions. He believed unions interfered with business efficiency. The Homestead strike destroyed Carnegie's public reputation as a friend to workers, but he never apologized. From a business perspective, breaking the union increased profitability by reducing labor costs. Carnegie also ruthlessly eliminated partners who disagreed with his expansion strategy. When Henry Phipps, his longtime partner, opposed aggressive reinvestment, Carnegie forced him out. When other partners wanted dividends instead of reinvestment, Carnegie used contract clauses to buy them out at book value far below market value, enriching himself while eliminating opposition. By 1900, Carnegie Steel dominated American steel production. The company produced 3 million tons annually, more than all of Great Britain. Annual profits exceeded $40 million, about $1.4 billion today. Carnegie personally owned 58% of the company, making his net worth approximately $250 million, about $8.7 billion today. In 1900, at age 64, Carnegie was ready to retire. He'd spent decades building an empire and wanted to focus on philanthropy. But selling Carnegie Steel presented challenges. No individual could afford to buy it. Taking it public risked losing control to shareholders. Carnegie needed a buyer with vision and capital to match his asking price. That buyer was J.P. Morgan, America's most powerful banker. Morgan was assembling U.S. Steel Corporation, a massive trust combining multiple steel companies to dominate the industry. But Morgan's trust was incomplete without Carnegie Steel. Carnegie controlled the most efficient mills, the best ore reserves, and the lowest production costs. U.S. Steel couldn't dominate steel without Carnegie. Morgan sent intermediary Charles Schwab, Carnegie Steel's president, to negotiate. In December 1900, at a golf game, Schwab asked Carnegie what he wanted for the company. Carnegie said he'd consider selling and would provide a figure. Carnegie went home and calculated on a piece of paper. He wrote down one number, $480 million. That figure represented Carnegie Steel's assets, recent profits, and Carnegie's estimate of future earnings potential. The next morning, he handed Schwab the paper with $480 million written on it. Schwab brought the number to Morgan. Morgan barely hesitated. "I accept," he said. No negotiation, no counteroffer. Morgan knew Carnegie Steel was worth it. On March 2, 1901, the deal closed. Carnegie received $225,639,000 in 5% gold bonds, his 58% ownership stake, equivalent to approximately $310 billion in 2024 purchasing power. Morgan later told associates that he would have paid $100 million more if Carnegie had asked. Carnegie joked that he should have requested more. When Morgan and Carnegie met after the sale closed, Morgan said, "Mr. Carnegie, I want to congratulate you on becoming the richest man in the world." Carnegie replied, "Mr. Morgan, I want to congratulate you on becoming the richest man in the world." Carnegie had written an essay in 1889 called The Gospel of Wealth, arguing that the rich had a moral obligation to distribute their wealth during their lifetimes for public benefit. He wrote, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced." Now he had to live up to his own philosophy. Carnegie spent his final 18 years systematically giving away his fortune. His approach was strategic and focused on institutions that would provide lasting benefit: libraries, education, scientific research, and peace initiatives. Carnegie's most famous legacy is libraries. He believed free access to books and education gave poor children, like he'd been, opportunities to improve themselves. Between 1883 and 1929, Carnegie funded 2,509 libraries worldwide, 1,689 in the United States, 660 in the United Kingdom and Ireland, 125 in Canada, and others in Australia, New Zealand, and Europe. The total investment exceeded $56 million, about $1.7 billion today. In 1900, Carnegie gave $2 million to establish Carnegie Technical Schools in Pittsburgh, now Carnegie Mellon University. In 1902, he established the Carnegie Institution for Science in Washington, D.C., with $10 million endowment, about $350 million today, to fund scientific research. The institution made groundbreaking discoveries in astronomy, genetics, and seismology. In 1905, Carnegie created the Carnegie Foundation for the Advancement of Teaching with $10 million, establishing the first pension program for college professors. In 1910, he founded the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace with $10 million to promote international understanding and prevent war. Carnegie Hall in New York, built in 1891 with Carnegie's $2 million donation, became one of the world's premier concert venues. Carnegie funded over 7,000 church organs across America, believing music enhanced communities. He established the Carnegie Hero Fund in 1904 with $5 million to recognize ordinary people who risked their lives saving others. By his death on August 11, 1919, at age 83, Carnegie had given away approximately $350 million of his $480 million fortune, about $5.5 billion in today's dollars, roughly 73% of his wealth. His remaining estate of $30 million went to various foundations and family members. Andrew Carnegie transformed American industry and philanthropy. He proved that steel could be mass-produced efficiently, making skyscrapers, modern bridges, and industrial machinery possible. Carnegie Steel built America's infrastructure during its most explosive growth period. His business methods, vertical integration, cost accounting, efficiency obsession, and reinvesting profits became the template for industrial corporations. His partnership structures and contract innovations influenced corporate law. His ruthless competition and union busting revealed the dark side of industrial capitalism, leading to labor reforms. Carnegie's philanthropic philosophy influenced generations of wealthy Americans. John D. Rockefeller, Henry Ford, Bill Gates, and Warren Buffett all cite Carnegie's gospel of wealth as inspiration for their giving. The Carnegie Libraries remain community anchors in thousands of towns. Carnegie Mellon University is a world-leading research institution. The Carnegie Endowment for International Peace continues working toward global stability. Carnegie proved that immigrants with nothing could build empires through intelligence, hard work, and strategic thinking. He demonstrated that fortunes created through capitalism could fund public institutions benefiting everyone. His story remains a testament to both capitalism's possibilities and its costs. Andrew Carnegie arrived in America at 13, so poor his family borrowed money for the voyage. He worked 12-hour days making $1.20 per week in a textile factory. 50 years later, he sold his steel company for $480 million, equivalent to $310 billion, today, making him the second richest American in history after John D. Rockefeller. His secret wasn't luck or inheritance. It was recognizing that invested capital multiplied wealth while wages stayed flat. It was seeing that steel would transform industry before anyone else understood. It was obsessive cost control and vertical integration that made him more efficient than every competitor. It was ruthless elimination of anything or anyone who slowed growth. Carnegie worked 6 days a week for decades, reinvesting every dollar into expansion. He broke strikes, forced out partners, and crushed competitors. He built the most efficient steel empire on earth through pure focus and relentless execution. Then he spent 18 years giving away 73% of his fortune, $350 million, funding libraries, universities, scientific research, and peace initiatives that still impact millions today. He literally gave away billions to ensure his wealth benefited society. The poor Scottish immigrant became one of history's richest people, then gave it all away. That's not just a business story. That's the ultimate proof that American capitalism could build empires, and those empires could fund the public good. Carnegie lived both sides of that equation completely.